Hello and welcome to Expertise Talk, where we wage war on confusion so that intimacy can come in with ease. I'm your host, V. Renee, and I have a few guests in the building or online. That's what we're doing right now. We have Mr. Chris Weber.
How
We
y'all
have
doing?
Mr. Andre Notice, and we have the the, uh, the guest we've had before, a refeature. Sunni Ewing. So I'm going to let each guest introduce themselves. They're very, very talented people in their fields of study. And so they can speak on it way more eloquently than I. Let's start ladies first. So we'll go with Sunni Ewing. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Sunny Ewing. I'm in the fitness industry at Sunny Fitness on IG. Um, I have an education background, sex education and kinesiology, and here we are, leading the fitness way. Consistency equals results.
Yes, consistency equals results. That is her slogan and has been her slogan for as long as I've known her. And it is true. Andre Notice.
What up, people? This is Rhyming Realtor on a video to greet you, ready to meet you. I'm so excited to be here. I am your real estate professional, residential, all things residential, all things commercial. I'm here to help. And I'm also excited about launching a book this year as well that's coming out. So I'm excited about that as well.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, none other than Mr. Chris Weber.
Thank you. Chris Weber, I own Excalibur Power Solutions. We are electricity brokers for businesses, as well as here in the last year, I decided to found something on a way that we can fix policing with One Change. It's actually onechange.org, number onechange.org. And so it's like providing a simple solution to get people to understand how we can do that.
See there? You have incredibly intelligent people on the line. Incredibly intelligent. Okay. I'm your host, V. Renee. I'm owner of She Power LLC, and of course, fitness trainer of V Power Fit, deep stretch specialist. That's what I do. Okay. Now to begin, this particular podcast will be to tackle misunderstandings. Because in each of your fields, you have to be excellent communicators. You have to be able to articulate your thoughts as well as not conform, I would say customize your language and your message to your audience. All three of you have to do this on a regular basis. So I think that you are all experts in the field of communication, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Hence why you were called. Now, my first question. One might say chivalry is dead, right? Do you guys think the modern day woman killed it? Sunny?
Oh, you start with me? Oh my gosh, that's a question for the men.
I'm not
Do you
I
guys
Not
just want
think
to
today.
know.
that?
I just want to know how you feel about it. One might say chivalry is dead. You are as close to a modern day woman as modern day woman gets. You're an entrepreneur. You're a mother. You handle your business. You believe in handling. You all you say all day is handle your business and consistency equals results. All I want to know is, do you think that if chivalry is dead, do you think the modern day alpha woman, whatever you want to call it, do you think that she killed it?
Well, I I am not gonna say that the woman killed it.
Okay.
I think that a few things have derailed it. Perhaps there are some men out here that still hone in on just who they are. If that's their standard, that's their standard. I do think that women have led with this. I'm so independent. I don't need a man, and that is not cool because men don't really care about your money or things of that nature. So a man really wants to know that, are you for him, or can you be a help to him, because that's the way it was. Not that we can't be independent in our own right, independent from a man sexually, mentally, emotionally, financially. Yes, I do that. I do think that those things are important, but not to a point where you feel like you don't need a man, because we do need our men. We need one man, but you know what I mean? We need a man. Men are our cover. They're our protection. We can't do that without a man. And they're leaders, rightfully. You know, I don't like the fact that women can henpeck their men or boss them around. I think that is like, it's just all the way wrong and disrespectful. So some roles have changed where these women are wifing men. Yeah, no,
Will
I
you
don't
marry
like
me?
that. Right? No. Oh, hell no. So,
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about
that's
that
my.
for a second. Wait.
I'm not
Men,
asking no.
wait, I gotta
Okay,
ask the fellas. Is it okay
go
for a
ahead.
woman to propose?
Never,
I can't speak for every man, right? But
never,
there are certain dudes who like it, and it's great for them,
no.
right? As the
But like,
individual who I am, if I
yeah.
want to propose, I'm going to propose. That's not going to be my issue, right? So I get it. There are some people who have individuals who they've been with for a long time, and that's who they want to be with, right? And they
Okay.
either didn't catch the hint till it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. So in that case, they took the reins, and it was helpful for that person, right?
Yeah.
So
You seem to
I
be
do
the
understand how that can be helpful for certain people as opposed to for others, not so much.
Gotcha. Sunny, I'm so sorry. So, did you have anything else to add?
I mean, I think that I gave my points. I mean, you took the
You did.
STEM, and turned it to, should a woman ask to marry a man? Like, no. I understand, we independent, but I don't think it's a woman's place to ask for a man's hand in marriage.
Okay,
They
Andre.
should show up.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Go
Andre, why
back
do
to
you?
that first question, because I want to hear what they got to say about,
Oh, yes, boss lady. Yes, yes,
Oh,
ma'am. Okay.
okay. Thank you, Sonny. Yeah.
Thanks, Sunny, for it's my show, but it's okay. No,
you'll need a
so,
little redirection.
so
That's a
fellas,
teacher
no,
moment.
I totally understand. I'm actually going somewhere with that because I know that you're insightful, and I know that you were going to give me a full overview of what it is and what it should be. I mean, everybody here is spiritually sound. Everybody here is aware of the trying and changing times by which women and men have begun to interact. But Andre, what do you think? Chivalry's dead. Did the modern woman kill it?
No, Chivalry's not dead. It definitely
Okay.
has taken a detour. It's definitely not what it used to be.
Taking a detour.
Yeah, it's not dead though. But I wouldn't blame them. It's hard for me to blame the women for most things because, like as Sonny said earlier, men were created to be the leaders.
Yes.
So if we're leading the way we're supposed to be leading, then we can't blame the woman. That's the first thing. The second thing is
Nice.
it is my personal belief that most of the issues that we deal with in our community, whether it be from relationships, whether it be from raising the kids, whatever it be, it starts with a man being at home as a present, strong father. That's where the issue lies. That's where the foundation is. That's where chivalry and everything else comes from, is that man being present, being active, and being a strong parent in the household.
I agree. I agree.
So, I mean, growing up, I'm going to do what I saw my dad do. So if I saw my dad treat my mother a certain way, if I saw my dad opening doors, if I saw my dad pulling out chairs, if I saw my dad treat my mother this way, it's going to make it that more easier for me to do the same thing when it comes from me to start dating. So it comes from at home.
That makes sense. Well, Chris Webber, do you think that it's possible that certain women, especially today's women, in the independent, persona that we all try to sort of carry outwardly,
Mhm.
like I don't need you to open my door, I don't need you to pay for my meal, do you think that has had an impact on a man's willingness? Because it's not only is she saying I don't need it, it's like there's a lack of gratefulness to some extent when it does happen, right? If you feel like you don't need it or you don't value it at all, then why would anybody be pressed or feel some obligation to do it outside of Andre's point of seeing their father or seeing their male figure in their life do it. You're doing it because you were taught, but it's not enforced by a woman. How does that?
Well, I mean, it's, I think, a couple of different things, right? One of the things that I think, if we look at it by the way that people react to chivalry, determines if a man, right? It determines everything, right? It determines how people continue to act, right? So if someone is being chivalrous and then chivalry doesn't get them the thing that they want to get from it, right? Then they decide, is this the thing that I still need to be?
Makes sense.
Right.
Makes
And
sense.
so it's not so much that it was killed by them, but you also have to stop and say, if this is something that I want in my relationship or I want from the people in my life, though, then I also have to make sure that that's something that I appreciate from those who do it. That's something that I award from those who do it, as opposed to there's great chivalrous people. And then I'm like, okay, I'll ignore them, but I'm going to go and I'll pursue this instead. Right. And so it's not so much that chivalry isn't a thing or it was killed by anyone.
Right.
It may not be the highest thing up on the list because there are other things that people hold in higher accord. So based off what women hold in higher accord is the way that men generally go, right? Even when you look at the chivalry movement, that started because back in the day, dudes were assholes, right? You think men are bad now? It's nothing compared to the way dudes used to be, seriously. And so that started to try and separate them from the other men.
Gotcha.
Right. And that's kind of why chivalry started. So it was to juxtapose the actions of others. And so it's not so much that you have to juxtapose, like we're in the South, dudes are generally fairly respectful. Like the things that you call chivalrous, it's pretty much how a lot of guys in the South are. So it's about, it's not so much that you have to be that to be with someone now. That's not the number one thing that's on the list, because it's not that you're looking at two very big chasms between what's chivalrous and what isn't. And I think the definition of chivalry has changed over time, right? I think that's one of the things that we have to look at is what we now consider chivalrous now. I don't think is what would have been what they were looking for 50 years ago.
Okay, that's a good point. One of our viewers asked, so the men without fathers around, where are they supposed to learn? Now, Sunny, you are raising a son, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
A grown son. So how do you enforce chivalry as a single mom raising a son?
So, yeah, so it's been an absent father. So that part is hard, especially for a single mom, because most homes are single moms. Fathers are not in the home. So as you said earlier, you're doing what your father did. And if there's no father to see, because it takes a boy to see a man to be a man, right? And so if he's not seeing one, those things are kind of hard. And mostly single women are hustling, they grinding, they working, they a little absent from the home because they trying to make ends meet and make a way for the family. And so that's kind of my story. Um, so the things that I would like him to do, my son, he's 19 now, I ask him to do things for me. Or I have a daughter, so she's younger than him. So I'll say things like, you need to open up the door for your sister or get the groceries. Like, so these little things is still a trial, but it's hard sometimes because some women, you know, where their sons are doing everything and they almost turn into like their man. And so those are things that, it's a fine line. But mentorship programs that, I've put him in growing up, different fraternities, they do things. I don't, I'm not a man. So for me to teach him to be one is a struggle. And that has been, a fight, to get him to be certain things because I'm not that. And then, the same voice or the same words that I can say to him, if a man say him, it's just a different thing that stands up in them. You know,
Right.
we can say the same thing. And I'm like,
Literally.
I just said that. Why you didn't listen to me? It's because I'm a woman. I'm a
Right.
female. I don't have the same body parts they do. They like, you just don't understand. You a
You don't
girl,
understand me.
you know.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
they want that man, that camaraderie. That's what they want. That's just, just like girls, their sisterhood, and a lot of things that are not happening and I know this is going off, but a
No,
lot of
it's
things that
fine.
are not happening in the manhood community is that
Hmm.
y'all are not vulnerable to one another. So it's hard to be able to receive and get information from, oh, don't tell me what to do. And so they see that as well. So when they become in and you got homeboys and y'all can talk about women all day, y'all can this and y'all can that, but when can men sit down and be like, that wasn't right that you run in the streets, or that wasn't right that you uh you know slapped your woman, or you didn't
Right.
come home last night. Why we can't say, hey, you shouldn't have done that and receive it, versus, man, don't tell me what to do. Why not say, you know what, you should be a man of some standard and some quality. So because no matter what, somebody's watching, whether it's your nephew, your son, your little brother, we have to be mindful of our behavior, because no matter what we do, somebody's watching.
That is a very, very, very good point. I think a lot of times we take for granted who's watching us. We just presume that we just out here living our best lives. And there are people who actually, not just sons and not just younger people, people in general are seeking guidance all the time. And if they admire you and they look up to you in any way, what you say and what you do is impactful.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think that's a very, very good point. As a woman raising a daughter, I definitely had to enforce that with her. She's 19. And I'll tell her, she'll have a guy, Mom, I want to go on a okay. And if he comes to pick her up, he in the car. Did you did he just honk the horn? Did he just honk the horn? Mom, it's okay. It's okay. You're not going.
Yeah, that's when
Your
you have to
your date
stop.
just got
Yeah.
canceled. Like, yeah, because if you don't demand, and I do mean demand, what it is that you want for yourself, it won't show up. Nobody's gonna
But I
believe
was, I understand and I agree with you, but I will say this: you also have to be careful because um, that young man could have possibly been raised from another single parent that never taught him those things. So often it's a trickle down situation, and what happens is there are missing gaps from pieces that were never filled. So it's hard for that man to become a full man, but he's never had that piece to be able to watch. He's never had that model in front of him. So you're having these expectations of a boy to become a man that was never taught how to become a man.
no, with all due
So
respect.
And I'm gonna add to that. I know how you feel, right? But
right,
it's not just having the expectations of him to be something who he has never seen, right? So what you're asking him to be is a person that he's never seen, right? You're
right,
asking them to be someone they never know. Now, in my personal opinion, a better way would have been, hey, excuse me, but in this house, we don't honk at women. Instead, we come up and we knock on the door. And 9 times out of 10, what he would have said to you is, yes, ma'am, I apologize. Right. And
right,
so
right.
for
And
Sure,
me, wow.
that was my next statement is that's
sure.
a conversation. Instead of it being a deal breaker, it should be a conversation. It's
Okay,
a
so
learning, it's a learning moment.
let me shed a little light on that. And I will unforgivingly say this. One, if he wants to call and find out why my daughter is not coming outside, or if he wants to take the extra step because he's so interested to find out what's going on, I will gladly minister to him right then and there. But I will not allow my daughter to make whatever he has not learned in his childhood or in whoever raised him. I will not make that her problem. So that's just how I feel about it. Now, when I look at chivalry, I need y'all to understand that chivalry is not about just somebody doing little things that they were taught to do traditionally for you. Chivalry is a form of appreciation for the other person. It goes both ways. It's a sign of gratefulness, is what it is. It's a sign of I value your presence and the fact that you're here with me sharing energy. So this is what I'll do to show appreciation for said energy. It has nothing. It's a respect thing. It's just a respect thing. And so when somebody's saying be chivalrous, we're not just talking about opening the door. We're talking about soft guidance. If I expect you to lead me, then you're the person who can tell me when to get out the car. You're the person who can tell me where to sit when you pull out my chair. You're the person who can tell me it's time for us to walk in the building. And that's why you open the door. It's not just to serve me, because I'm going to serve you. When you sit at the table and I put the food in front of you on the table, that means it's time to eat. So it's soft leading. It's chess, not checkers. It's not about just doing a bunch of acts of service for a person. It's much deeper than that for me.
No, and
I
so
disagree with you.
I appreciate that you said it went both ways, right? Because a lot of the things that I see oftentimes is that whenever you're talking about, like, I hear oftentimes all the words for boys and men and all these other things, and be someone who men used to be, but I rarely hear anyone say to a woman, be who women used to be. Right. And have that a man, you can have the same expectations that your grandfather had. Right. And I hear women often say, man, I need somebody like my granddaddy. But if a dude said, well, that's great. Let me get somebody like my grandma too. Right. If a man said that, right, it would be a completely different situation. So while I appreciate that men need soft guiding,
Right.
it's not just a one-way street.
And I do think people try to interact with acts of service and they tie it too tightly to acts of service. It's just tied too tightly to it. It's like, okay, you are serving the person. That's not the fullness of it. That's only a very small component of a bigger thing. Because how often do we stop and say thank you to the person for doing small things like taking us out? You know, you ain't take me to XYZ restaurant. It doesn't matter what restaurant we're going to. We can go to Chili's or we can go to Brenner's. We can go Mark's American. It doesn't matter. We're spending time together and you're taking the time to take me out. So in the midst of said date, when you open my door, thank you.
Yeah, but that doesn't still, like, I get that part, but yeah, that isn't always taught to a lot of young ladies now, right? The appreciation component, right? And so I know you can only speak for you, right? But the appreciation component, regardless of anything that happens, right, doesn't exist for, a fair amount.
Okay, well, answer me. Riddle me this. Sunny, you seem like you've fallen asleep over there. Who benefits more from marriage, men or women?
Men. But men. But
why do you say men?
You didn't even say it, but this was worse. You didn't even say it like you believed it, Sunny. Like, Sunny, if you gonna lie to me, lie to me like you believe it. Lie to me like lie to me with conviction.
Okay.
Lie to me like you Donald Trump. Like, that's how I need you to lie to my face. Like, I need you to, like, believe every word you said, and I said no. Like, come on, like, stop. Like, I need you to believe it when you tell me.
She said what she said.
Men win. Because in a process of being I'll go back. Okay. In the process of men and women marrying, yes, does he may pay the bills and this and that, but it's much deeper than that, right? When it comes to like her being the helpmate to him, typically, we follow the men as we should follow our men in their careers, and this is just what has happened over time. And oh my gosh, I can't believe that's discussion. But we're the supportive one. We want the man to be right. We want him to do this.
Right, we support the mission. We submit to the mission. Now, if you don't have a mission, have a seat.
Right. I hope that was a good one. And so in the process of that, we lose ourselves. Okay, boom. Let me give you an example. Men and women that date, right? So if a woman is hustling and grinding, she's taking care of business, she this, she that, boom, she get a man. Guess where some of that hustling and grinding attention go to now? To the man. And so now
it goes well.
I'm not saying that it doesn't, but when we talk about the recovery time, typically men recover way sooner than women, especially if women that have children, and if women, they have
Andre,
to
like,
make up for it. Men, they can pick up and be gone tomorrow. I'm not saying that men don't get hurt, because they do. All I'm saying is that if a man and woman are married and they've been married, let's say 10, 15 years, they got 2 children. He steps off and leave her. Now she got 2 kids. She got to make a way, all this kind of stuff. Not that he
mama's
doesn't
baby, daddy's
provide
baby.
or give,
Mm-hmm.
but she is left with all of this, where you just
So
take
that's why
off,
you feel
you
like
single
women,
one person,
men.
and you back to work. This is that.
Okay.
Women,
Okay, so hold on.
they
I
take off
just
work.
no, hold on. Okay, so let's go back to the original question. Like, we're not talking about if we get divorced, who benefit. We said
Right.
she said
In the marriage.
in marriage, right? And the I've heard you list one thing in marriage, right?
No, you wasn't listening. She was saying that they bear the burden. So if for them to have to, if something separates and you realize who bears the burden more, clearly that's the person that's carrying the bulk of whatever. I think that's the point you're making. Is that the point you're making?
Go ahead, finish.
Cause let me feed it. Let me let
That's
y'all
a different question. That's a
No,
different question, though.
I'm not gonna go.
That's a different. You said who benefits more?
More. She said women. You disagree? Are you saying you disagree?
Men
Yeah, I disagree.
benefit more.
I just say
Both of you disagree?
they both
disagree.
disagree. They feel like men benefit more.
They feel like women benefit more.
Why?
Oh my, Sonny, can we? I see the face and the energy. It's well, no, I mean it's a completely because let's break it down, right? So for men, whenever a man gets married, like for us, we don't have as much. What's a nice way? We don't have as much give a fuck about so many things, right? So whenever y'all care about what the house looks like. So guess what? In 95% of houses you've been to, the woman went through and decorated all that. The dude maybe said, oh, okay, I want this here. And half the time she still ignored him and put up what she wanted to, right? As well.
I'm not the decorator, so that ain't to me.
But no.
I'm talking about the majority of small decisions that happen is for men, we'd rather not argue, right, than to go through and say, hey, let's go ahead. We're not going to argue about a lot of stuff, right? Because generally we have less words than women, right? I think they were saying for men generally have around 7,000 words a day, women over 20,000 words a day, right? So we're not trying. Look up the stats. That's not me.
No. I'm gonna wholeheartedly agree with you, but I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'm gonna let Mr. Notice make his point before I drive my point all the way.
Oh no! So what I'm saying is that as a general rule, like, and if you think about it, whenever a dude gets married, the thing that you don't see anymore is any of the stuff that he had in his house when he was single. Like none of that stuff exists. We don't know where it went. Right, and I'm just trying to be real. Like we don't know where it went. We don't know what happened to it. All his single life, whatever it was, oftentimes disappears. So
both of the singleness disappears.
Right, but no, he making his point his way. He's trying to say that women gain more because they get to
take over the house.
They take over, right? They take over home life. Okay.
It's not just the house; it's a lot. It's a lot of different things that you guys take over, right? That men don't necessarily feel like making the same arguments for, or don't make the decisions for. I think there's actually a statistic that say women make over 90% of the decisions in the household.
Because we incubate everything, but don't worry about it. What you got to say? While I roll my head, while I get African American, while all my cultures
oh my.
What's up? Why you said that women benefit more from marriage? Andre, are you frozen? Andre, you will notice me.
I think Andre froze on you.
Froze on me.
So can I make my point for you drive yours until he get ready to talk?
Because you already know I'm gonna drive mine, like mash the gas. Go ahead.
So in the process of I'm in a space where Oh, is he back? Okay,
He
he's
back.
back.
Go ahead, Notice.
All right. So, to be honest, it's kind of hard for me to answer this question without taking it to the foundation of marriage. So, for me personally, the foundation of marriage is who created it, which would be God. So, if it's a marriage the way God created it, the answer for me, who benefits the most, is God, because marriage is even for us. Marriage is for God. It's for God's glory. It's only to glorify Him. So if it's done the way it's supposed to be done, God gets the benefit. That's my answer.
That's your answer.
I like
That's a
that.
good. I should have chose that one, Andre. I needed to be
Good answer,
politically
Andre.
correct.
Good job,
I
Andre.
needed to not tell the truth. I'm sorry. Like I feel like I did Andre. I need to be. I gotta really back right, and then I can be more. Yeah, it's okay. I apologize. I've learned for the future now. Let me do another top button. Let me. Here we go. Hold on.
Sending everybody down with your answer. That's not.
That's
the truth. That's the truth.
So, Sunny, did you want to add, or?
So,
I mean,
so the reason. So I'm gonna add to the reason why I believe that men benefit more is because whatever you give to us, we multiply it.
That is what my answer was going to be.
What?
We nurture everything. We incubate everything. We make everything grow faster, stronger, better.
But then you take it all back when the divorce is over.
Mother
But then you take it all back when the divorce is final.
You know why? Because your little tacky tail shouldn't leave. You need to stay. Sit down.
We are still left
Dre, you hear him, Dre?
with the load that we multiplied with you.
That's why I can't get in a relationship or in a marriage, because I ain't got time to be divided into her.
That's not right.
So
I'm just saying. I agree with Andre in the sense that partnership is about moving purpose together, about moving towards purpose, about growing things. I mean, we are born to create. We create things with our voices and what we say and what we do. And if you're not with somebody that is inhabiting those things and those qualities that will allow your purpose and what God has for you to manifest, you need to move around. At the same time, you need to respect the fact that that's why she's there and that's why he's there.
Let me say this.
Not just for you to pay.
What percentage of marriages do you think this is true for? I'm just trying to be so just because you guys assume that this is how you are, what percentage of marriages do you think a man brings something and the woman makes it multiply? All right, don't.
A-L-L. Oh.
He got up. He ain't cool to no
Kick yourself up.
Okay, so that response just helped me. So I realized at this point, right, we're not even existing in logic. So I'm just going to let you keep going, because I feel like if we're not going to exist in facts, don't matter, then yeah, you're right. You win.
Just say you don't agree. I'm saying
facts do matter.
Facts matter, but partnership.
And that's why I asked you, what percentage of marriages do you think that is? What percentage of marriages?
Listen to me. Watch
if you
this.
had to get, yeah.
Are you listening?
I'm waiting.
That's not always positive. Partnership can multiply things in one direction or another. There's always top and bottom, alpha, omega, beginning and end. This side, that side. What I'm saying is that when you partner with somebody, you're either taking your relationship one way or the other. So yes, there are things manifesting. Now, those things that manifest might not always be on the positive side, because you can yoke up with somebody and your life can go really, really fast in the wrong direction.
Okay, so is this an argument for why marriage is better for men or women? Right, I'm confused, because you just said you can marry somebody and then they multiply the bad stuff in your life, and so then that's still is that still an argument for women, or is that an argument for men? I'm confused.
It's an argument for women in the sense that you choose the woman you decide to be with. The beautiful thing about love is it's your choice who you decide to sacrifice your life with. So that a woman can come into your life and multiply it in the right direction, and she damn sure can multiply it in the wrong direction. But you have a lot to gain either way. A lesson.
If she's multiplying it in the wrong direction, that's not a lot to gain. That's a lot to lose.
You learn a lesson. You hope you get a lesson out of it.
You chose her.
But you chose her. What do you mean?
Okay, I'm sorry. We're saying this like every man that you chose ended up being the man that you thought he would be when you chose him, right? Like none of them ended up being different people at the end. Just because you choose someone, you choose people based off what you see at that moment, right? And what you believe things can become, right? But
that's the truth. What you see and what you want things to become, not what's there. What's there was always there from the beginning.
I'm going to disagree because there are people who flip this. That's why they call it flipping the script, right? I didn't make this up, right? When they say this person flipped the script on me, they were one way when I met them, and they were a different way after we've been together for. Even look, they can be a different way when you're dating them. Have you not? So hold up, Renee. You've never had this happen in a relationship. You've never had someone portray to be somewhere on the front end and then be someone else in the relationship.
I've had people. Yes, I've had people show up one way and change.
Okay, so thank you for agreeing with me here, right? And so since that's a thing, it can be a thing for both men and women. So you're saying that having someone who will multiply the bad, even though you thought they would multiply the good in the beginning, right, is still somehow a benefit. I'm trying to. I get what we're getting.
Is it okay if I got him?
Please. Oh yeah, take me.
Okay, great. So the purpose and the beauty that we so abuse now of dating and collecting data and being friends and loving somebody like a brother or sister prior to engaging in a relationship with them is to get to know them on a level that they can fully be themselves and first of all, if you're praying about it, that's going to show up anyway. But let's not jump on that. Let's not jump on it because everybody's just not going to understand that fully, right? If you love somebody like a brother or sister prior to jumping into a nostalgic, lustful relationship with them, who they are will show up. It's not a trick. It's not really a trick. If you give it the time that it is allotted, if you give it the time that it deserves, that and not try to force what you want the relationship to be on them. Because oftentimes when we meet somebody, we want it to be what we want it to be. And so we restructure what we see. We restructure how they perform around us because we don't give them the window to be exactly who they are around us.
No, I actually
lied to because you're being asked to be lied to. Not that that's an excuse. Not that that's an excuse, but I'm just telling you.
I agree with what you're talking about in some aspects, right? Which is the fact that does happen to some people. You're right. Some people are basically looking for what they're looking for and not paying attention to what's in front of them, right? I agree that happens also. But the other thing that I also agree with is that when you look at most marriages, one of the things that any marriage counselor is going to tell you is that you have to grow with the person who you're living with, who they're becoming, and not just who they were, right? And just because somebody was this in this point in their life does not mean that they can't become something else at another part in their life.
Yeah, but you're right. Could be counterproductive.
Oh, facts. That's not even a question. You've never seen marriages go from really great to counterproductive? You don't believe that's possible?
Listen, fundamentally, there are things that can go wrong in a relationship, but a lot of those things go wrong for a lot of different reasons. And it's not because you chose the wrong person, or it's not because that person is evolving and changing and you're evolving and changing. Okay? So I'm not disagreeing that marriages go through their thing and people change, and that portion of it I agree with. What I will not subscribe to is the fact that you can choose somebody who's meant for you, God sent, that you vetted, that you've been friends with, that have shown you who they are, and you come to a place in your life where you understand them and you accept them, flaws and all, and vice versa. And all of a sudden, they're counterproductive to your purpose. I get it. Because at the end of the day, they're a friend. At the end of the day, they want to see you thrive, even if they don't. If y'all decide y'all don't want to be together, as a divorcee, I know that a friend, regardless if the relationship is no longer ethos, they still want to see you thrive.
So
No.
yeah, so I agree. So you know, with me being married now, again, you know, this relationship that I have committed to, my main goal was that we are friends first. Now I've been knowing him for some time, and we grew up separately, and we've came back. Now in the midst of coming back or talking to someone and dating people over the years, friendship is the most important, I feel, baseline, because typically we won't hurt our friends. Friends, if they're our true, that is my dog. That's my friend. Like, I can't see him hurt. And so when we do talk about the
It's Chris
area
going through.
of if marriage is, if marriage, who does marriage benefit? Um, I do believe that wholeheartedly now, and where I'm at right now in my life, both people supposed to benefit from
I
marriage.
agree.
And I
I
do
agree.
agree with you,
I agree.
Will, about or no, Mr. Notice, about um you that but that comes with maturity. You know, a lot of people lack maturity and they lack independence. When I talked about earlier about being independent mentally, spiritually, physically, sexually, emotionally, I'm saying like you a whole person as a man where you're independent from a woman, where you ain't chasing tail, and you don't need a woman to help you pay your bills, vice versa. You don't need her to, you know, she don't need you to pay her bills. You're not like walking around here like, ooh, he a piece of meat or she's a piece of meat. Like, really, when you have really done that inside work for yourself, then you can really pick and choose who you can really see.
Right.
Because now I'm dating a man that, because I am clean, or I know who I am, or I know what my faults are now, or I know what my shortcomings are,
Mm-hmm.
I can be in my sit in my own skin and be like, look, this is me, XYZ, 1, 2, 3. Now, if this works for you, cool. If it don't, we don't fit, and then we can move forward.
Yes.
That is an adult,
Yes.
you know, that is an adult thing, which it should be, because there's no need to for me to choose you and you really can't do my top 3 non-negotiables. I can't make you be that because I really want to be with you, or vice versa. That's where the manipulation part come in at. But if I am independent, and I have met me spiritually, and he has done the same for him, now we're acting as whole beings. And now it's, man, your approach is different, your appreciation for each other is different.
Right.
You can be
Right.
these, and then you can come here and come together and be a real solid team and grow together. When the bumps hit in the road, you be like, damn, you the one that I want to go through this bump in the road with, versus like, damn, we got this bump in the road, I need to go be with somebody else. It's more like, man, I'm so glad that I have you here to help me bear this burden. So in the midst of you learning yourself, and both of y'all are independent from each other, or from the opposite sex, where you
Yeah.
can actually open up your mind and be like, you know what? I like him because I like him, not because he paying my bill, not because he can do me real good, not because
Right.
he can, or vice versa with her. Oh, she cook real good, or it's just got to be something that you're drawn to, just independent. Like, man, this is the one. And if you can really do that independent of what somebody do for you physically, all those other things, and y'all
Right.
can get together and come to terms, yeah, y'all can make it really, really do what it's supposed to do. So people can visualize that and be like, damn, I want that kind of love. That's where
Okay.
I'm at
Your
right now.
choice. Yeah, your choice is a choice. Yeah, your choice is a real choice. Any closing remarks, Mr. Notice?
Um, I would just say she touched on it. I was going to say, start with friendship first, but also say patience is key. Most relationships fail because we don't have patience. We want what we want instead of what God wants for us. I heard a young man telling me he was asking God, why am I breaking up with this woman if this is my wife? If this is the person that he has for me. And God replied, he said, this is not the person that I had for you. This is the person that you chose. So how many relationships don't last because you chose that person, God didn't choose them for you. So for me personally, I'd rather be single than settle because I want to marry my wife, not the wife somebody else has. I want to marry somebody else's wife. That's it.
I don't want to marry somebody else's husband. What about Chris? You trying to marry somebody else's wife or what?
Not at all. And you know, I think if I'm being honest, the way I probably responded on the front end was more about ego and less about really thinking about who benefits more. Should hopefully be both of you guys, right? And it will, and it always depends on your dynamics of the relationship, right? And B, it should change, right? There are going to be weeks where I benefit more. There are going to be weeks where she benefits more,
Agreed.
right? And I think the thing isn't about focusing on who benefits more. It's about focusing on what can I bring so I make sure that my partner is benefiting, right? And so I think sometimes it can be asked in a way where you start thinking about it, it's a little triggering, and you can respond with ego and not so much with the whole thought process of we all should benefit, right? It shouldn't be a him or her thing. And regardless of, there is no who benefits more. It's still like there are going to be some relationships where one person does benefit more. There are going to be others where the other person does. I can't control everyone else's relationship. I can only work on what happens in mine.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, I am truly grateful for you guys for being on. Mr. Weber, Mr. Notice, and Ms. Ewing, you guys did a fantastic job of articulating your thoughts and enlightening us on just being in a relationship, being present, and how we should go about coexisting, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to give people your contact information so they can find you? Like perhaps Instagram?
I actually have to dip. I have another appointment in 30 minutes, but mine is right there on the screen. You will notice me.
You will notice me. That's everything? You will notice me?
You can Google me, Andre Notice.
Google him.
I'm Googleable.
Googleable. What about Sunny Fitness? What about you?
Coming soon. I got dip, sweet. Thanks for the help.
No problem. Sunny?
You can find me on Instagram at Sunny Fitness, SUNNI Fitness. Facebook, Sunny Rochelle Ewing. My website is sunnyfitness.com. Yeah. I got a book coming out soon. It's Ground Zero. It talks about healthy relationships. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Yes. I love it.
And it was a pleasure being on here and chopping it up with your folks.
Oh no.
Sure.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome back, girl.
I gotta come back. This gotta
go back. You gotta come back. Come on, man. And Mr. Weber.
Man, Chris Weber. I don't really maintain my socials because I'm barely on there, but you can find I'm terrible at that part. Right. One of my businesses is Caliber Power Solution. If you have any businesses who are looking for electricity, they can find us at experTEASEtalk.com or excaliburpowersolutions.com, and onechange.org is my way of hopefully trying to fix some of the issues we have in policing, and that's the number 1, then the word change.org.
Awesome. And you have tuned in to experTEASEtalk. That's TEASE, experTEASEtalk with V. Renee. Thank you for tuning in. Please share, like, follow, comment. Do what you do.
All right.
Okay. Die empty. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Peace. I hope you guys enjoyed that show. There's more to come.